Hey extraordinary people, I'm Daniel and today we're going to talk about Cheaper by the Dozen. So Cheaper by the Dozen is the newest film from Disney. It's a Disney Plus original. It's directed by Gail Lerner and it stars a gigantic ensemble cast led by Zach Braff and Gabrielle Union. And it tells the story of the Bakers, a blended biracial family with 9 children and one cousin who comes to live with them, so 12 people in total, hence the title. The parents, Paul and Zoe, run a breakfast restaurant and also have a line of sauces, and when they get the opportunity to franchise their business, they move into a richer neighborhood and a bigger house. However, as they attempt to adjust to their new environment, they start to realize that maybe this new lifestyle isn't for them. So Cheaper by the Dozen is a remake of an adaptation of a book from 1948. The original novel is a true story by Frank Gilbreth and Ernestine Gilbreth Carey about their experiences growing up in a family of 12 children. In 1950, the book was adapted into a feature film by 20th Century Fox starring Clifton Webb and Myrna Loy. In 2003, that movie was remade, this time starring Steve Martin and Bonnie Hunt, and basically changed everything about the story, including the names of the main characters. That version got a sequel in 2005, and then when Disney bought 20th Century Fox, they remade the movie yet again changing everything about the story. Now personally, I don't really care about any of that. I've never read the original novel, I've never seen any of the previous films. I know a lot of people who have hate this version because it's different from all those, but personally I don't care. I just want to see a good movie. And I am glad to say that for the most part, this is a good movie. It's really the kind of fun, sweet, wholesome movie that only Disney really knows how to make anymore. Now, as I mentioned, this film portrays a blended family. So Paul has kids from a previous marriage, and Zoe has kids from a previous marriage, and then they have kids together. And the movie portrays a very healthy relationship between all these kids and their parents and step-parents, and a very amicable co-parenting situation between the parents and their exes. Divorce and co-parenting are things that can be portrayed very negatively in films, so it was refreshing to see a movie that showed people handling these things in a mature and responsible way. Now, the Bakers are also a biracial family, and the movie does a really good job of balancing on one hand showing that this is completely normal, and on the other hand showing some of the struggles that the family faces as a result. So Zoe often gets ignorant or inappropriate comments from other parents about having white kids, and the black kids in the family often struggle to fit into the rich white neighborhood that they moved into. We also see that Paul is very oblivious to these things. He just kind of assumes that, well, if he's comfortable in this environment, then his whole family must be as well. So the movie finds some important things to say about privilege and discrimination. Now, I do have a couple of complaints about the movie. First, while the movie shows far more restraint than I was expecting going in, it does occasionally veer into some pretty cheesy territory. There's a scene, for instance, where Paul is going to a business meeting to pitch one of his products, and when he walks in, he sees that while he's wearing a suit, everyone else who's waiting for a meeting is just wearing like casual or cool clothes. So he basically gets really nervous about this, goes back to his van, just puts on whatever he can find lying around the van, and then goes back into the meeting. And the meeting goes about as well as you'd expect from that description. There's not too many scenes like that in the movie, but there are a few and they do kind of bother me. My other complaint is that the movie has a very short runtime of less than 2 hours, and with the huge amount of characters and plot threads going on, it really can't give adequate attention or time to all of them. There's some story threads that barely get touched on, it seems, and some characters that are kind of barely in the movie, even though they're fairly interesting characters. So the movie feels like it would have benefited from another half hour, or even an hour maybe. As it is, the film does feel kind of disjointed at times and very incomplete as a whole. In general, though, Cheaper by the Dozen is not a bad movie at all. It's a lot of fun, it's very sweet, it's very wholesome, and it's definitely worth a watch in my opinion. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give Cheaper by the Dozen a 7. Alright, have you seen Cheaper by the Dozen? What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comments, and if you like this video, be sure to leave me a like, subscribe, and remember that you're extraordinary. I love all of you so much. Bye.
'Cause you're extraordinary. Yes, you know it's true. Extraordinary.